Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. How might I assist you?
I noticed the sign out from the station. It lists the pharmacy under a Dr. E.S. Holton. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Splendid. I was hoping to speak with him, if I may. On business? Would Dr. Holton be your brother? Your father? Your husband, perhaps?
You're new in town, aren't you?
Quite new, madam. Only arrived this morning.
It shows, Mr.
Holmes. Dr. Holmes. It shows that much. Am I really so far out of my element, Mrs.
Dr. E.S. Holton. The E.S. stands for Elizabeth Sarah. Why do you stare, Dr. Holmes? Is it so difficult to believe?
You must forgive me. One does not encounter very many female physicians practicing, anyway.
We are something of a rare breed, yes. And as I'm certain this information has likely altered your intended course of business, I'll go ahead and bid you a good day.
No, wait. Out of professional curiosity, may I ask where?
Credentials, yes. The Women's Medical College of Chicago. Before that, I attended studies in Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor?
Yes, the University of Michigan. Why?
I was a medical student at the university myself.
Really? How small the world has become.
It most certainly has, Dr. Holton.
Please, call me Elizabeth.
Very well. Then, Elizabeth. Then I suppose you may call me Henry, if you'd like.
Oh, I'd like that very much, Henry. You don't know how long it's been since I've had such a refreshing introduction. From anyone, really.
Well, the honor is indeed mine. What a most unexpected surprise. A fellow alumnus, no less. Remarkable luck.
Luck?
As you've said before, I'm new here. A stranger in a strange land, just arrived. There's still so much to take into consideration. Finding somewhere to stay, gainful employment to secure such a thing. So when I saw your sign out front, I thought perhaps that you, or rather your brother, your father, your husband.
Oh, my husband has business of his own, Dr. Holmes. I see so little of him most days. And with a small child in tow, well, it can be difficult at the best of times to be at once mother and business proprietor, not to mention manager, bookkeeper, pharmacist.
Perhaps I may yet prove to be of great assistance to you after all.
Are you a registered pharmacist as well, Dr. Holmes?
Yes, ma'am. Recently licensed by the state of Illinois, though I would hate to feel I was taking advantage of you, of our mutual history, for that matter, if I were to impose myself.
Taking advantage? Impose? Oh no, sir. Quite the contrary, I assure you. You do not know what a breath of fresh air, what a godsend you may yet prove to be, Dr. Holmes. Henry.
As a man, I doubt you can imagine, much less fathom or begin to comprehend all the pressures that are placed upon a woman in this world. What's more, a working one with family to attend. There are times I fear demands become too frantic. Far too often pride is put upon the shelf. And with so many petty people who perceive me as pedantic, well, it must be clear to you that there really are quite few on whom I can rely aside myself.
But what about your husband? Surely he must be able to...
What, William? Oh, you don't know Willie Holton, Dr. Holmes.
Now the good Lord bless my husband for his patience, for he works the railroad all the livelong day. But when I try to speak my mind with him, increasingly I find with him there's only so much left that I can say. So with both my business and my marriage going under, suddenly you walk right through my door, You must forgive me if I cannot help but wonder if this might not be the reprieve I've waited for. At last, there's someone who understands. At last, there's someone who cares, who stands before me with no demands, the answer to all of my prayers. At last, it seems I can breathe again. At last, I finally feel free. If it means I can trust you, now I know what I must do to fashion my fortunes at last. Forgive me if I gush, but what a lovely rush after all I've been through. For I'd have never said a word if I'd never heard of a person like you.
Oh dear, to place such pressures upon you and on our first encounter.
Nonsense. Mrs. Holton. Dr. Holton.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
While it's true that what you say is somewhat foreign to a man who lives amid the world of men, nonetheless it's undebatable there's something quite relatable to where you are and where I once have been. For the two of us, despite our circumstances, have desired but the same thing all along. For society to give us equal chances, and to prove to our detractors they were wrong.
Yes.
And now at last there's someone who understands. At last there's someone who cares, who sees before him a kindred soul and shares the same burden she bears. At last I feel that I found a friend. At last I'm where I belong.
You were most unexpected,
But now we've connected, we're facing our futures head on. No promises are made, and still a bit afraid after all that has passed. But you know I'm not alone, that will keep me going and growing at last.
You're certain that you won't mind working under a woman?
On the contrary, I shall relish the opportunity.
Dr. Holmes, really? I didn't mean...
I know.
How soon can you start to work, Henry?
Tomorrow? Or is that too soon?
No, not at all. Tomorrow morning cannot come soon enough.
Then I shall see you tomorrow at 8. Good day, Dr. Holton.
Good day, Dr. Holmes. Thank you.
It seemed like the perfect pairing. To Mrs. Holton, the good doctor's fortuitous arrival gave her the chance to tend to her and her daughter's own neglected needs, and with the charismatic Dr. Holmes behind the counter, the Holton pharmacy was revitalized. New customers began to appear, drawn to the place by news of the sociable young doctor. Though, for the young ladies of Englewood, whether those visits were more out of curiosity than necessity could certainly be called into question. The town had found its newest eligible bachelor, and Holmes relished the attentions. Meanwhile, a change had begun to come over Mrs. Holton. As the days rolled by, her demeanor became increasingly melancholic. Only Holmes seemed able to cheer her.
Forgive me. I hope I'm not intruding. You told me to stop by. I hope the hour's not too late.
Not at all, Dr. Holmes. Please, sit. Have you eaten?
Haven't had the chance. It's been steady enough downstairs at the pharmacy all day, but I didn't want to bother you. Though I must admit, I suddenly find myself quite famished.
Understandably so.
Don't you?
I don't feel like eating at the moment.
Where are little Abby and your husband?
William's taken Abby out west to visit relatives. They left on the train this morning.
That would explain why it's been so quiet as of late.
To be honest, I'm glad they aren't here. Henry, there's something I must speak to you about. It's been weighing on my mind for some time now.
Go on.
I'm with child. Again.
I see.
I can't go on like this. Having one child in the house, trying to keep us going alone most of the time, it's just too much to bear. Henry, I don't know if I can do this any longer.
No. I understand.
I knew you would. You're probably the only one. I trust you, Henry.
I know.
I've been giving a lot of thought to the matter, and I'm going to sell the pharmacy. I need to sell it. It's been a tough decision, but knowing you, seeing all the good you've brought to the place, to our lives, Henry, I think you should have it. You've worked so hard.
Elizabeth, you know I can't buy it from you. I'm a man of modest means.
Henry, I want you to have the store. We can come up with terms. Would that make you happy, Henry?
More than life itself. Thank you, Elizabeth, for everything.
I will miss this place.
And it will miss you.
The day that I feared is come. At last, my courses are run. Ashamed as I am, I concede defeat. I'm beaten before I've begun. At least I know that my aim was true. At least I can say that I tried. But a woman's success without luck or largesse at best is tested till all hope has died. In Henry's honest hands, the business I began will continue to grow and go on. For I'm certain he will see that a little piece of me will linger on, even long after I am.
What became of Mrs. Holton and her child became the stuff of mystery. Holmes inherited the pharmacy, moving into the Holtons' former living space above the shop. In time, customers began growing curious. But whenever the subject was broached, Holmes would simply smile and reply,
Last I heard, they were all living happily in California.
Chicago. It's even grander than you described it, Henry. Well, it sure beats Minneapolis at any rate.
Myrta Belknap. Naive, inexperienced, and easily persuaded. Holmes couldn't have asked for a better catch. He met her while on frequent business trips to Minnesota. Their courtship was swift and unconventional. Holmes found joy in breaking conventions. She arrived in the winter of 1886 to join her new fiancé.
Myrta!
Henry!
How I've missed you, my darling. It has been far too long. Here, take off your coat. Stay a while. How are your parents? Are they happy? For you, I mean?
Of course they are. They're so certain we'll build a wonderful life together. They're coming down after New Year for the wedding, and oh, they just can't wait to see the pharmacy and visit the city and...
Myrta, please, we have our whole lives to plan such things. For now, let's get you upstairs and out of those wet things. We wouldn't want you to catch your death now, would we?
Oh, Henry, you're incorrigible.
We've only just begun, my sweet. Tonight, we dine out on the town. Then, we're going dancing to a ragtime band.
Holmes had transformed the pharmacy's second-floor apartment into a home for his intended, filled to bursting with the latest conveniences and comforts. All bought on credit, of course, but Myrta didn't know that. She never needed to know. She was head over heels, and for all intents and purposes, Henry and Myrta were the perfect couple.
Never once in a million years, or even in a lifetime, could I imagine I'd be as happy as I am. Dreary Minnesota seems the shadow of a memory, a long-forgotten part of me, someone who I used to be. For now, every morning I awaken to reality, and I long to hear you breathing as you lay there by my side. Who could have foreseen that in spite of all the obstacles and many miles between us, I was born to be your bride?
You're too good to me, you are. You're an angel through and through. And I don't know what I did, dear, to deserve you.
Oh, go on.
I thank the lucky star that led me straight to you. And until the day we perish, I will honor, love, and cherish, and do whate'er I dare, love, to preserve you. You are the most important thing in my life, Myrta, darling. Each smile you give me gives me a thrill on its own. You'll never know how truly special you are, Myrta. To think I might have lived my life alone.
You're not alone,
but now we're together at last. And honestly, that's all that matters. Just say that you love me.
Oh, Henry, you know I do.
For our life is a song, as long as I'm here with you.
Holmes and Myrta were married in January 1887. The blushing bride was the very picture of happiness. The groom, on the other hand, had failed to mention one important detail. He was already married. Still married, in fact, to a woman back in New Hampshire, the mother of his firstborn child. Holmes had never bothered to divorce his first wife. He had simply grown tired of her, spending more and more time away until one day he just vanished from her life. But Myrta didn't know that. She never needed to know. By the spring of the following year, the two were expecting a child of their own.
Even once in a million years, much less within this lifetime, did you ever expect a miracle like this.
There is no way of expressing what a joy and what a blessing there is in simply knowing that inside me life is growing all for you. You are the greatest husband a woman could have.
Myrta,
Darling, my wildest reveries never could yield such a view. And just to think that our two will soon be a three, Henry.
so it seems to me your dreams are coming true.
Oh, it's true, and they all become clear whenever I'm here with you.
Myrta's family returned to help with preparations in the summer of 1888. They found a house 20 miles north of Chicago, where Myrta quickly became a frequent visitor, her presence both at home and in the store beginning to feel increasingly unwelcomed for some strange reason.
You have the most beguiling smile that I've seen. What was your name again? Dear madam, how glad I am that I can service your needs.
Henry,
Thank you for visiting, madam. Have a very good morning.
Henry, how could you? I can't believe you.
Myrta, darling, whatever is the matter?
I saw how you were looking at that woman.
How was I looking at her, my sweet?
You know what I mean. Don't play the innocent with me.
This isn't the first time I've caught you behaving this way.
Myrta.
Shut up, Henry. I've seen how you ogle the women who come into the store. I know it's the truth and there isn't a thing you can say.
You don't know what you're saying.
So save your words, I've heard them all before.
Will you listen to yourself, Myrta? You're hysterical.
I am not hysterical. Take your hands off me.
Myrta, what's wrong?
The baby. I think it's coming.
Are you certain? Come. Darling, we're getting you back upstairs and into bed.
No. If this is how you behave as a husband, what kind of father will you be? How do I know I can even trust you anymore?
You're just going to have to. Think of the baby, Myrta. That's a good girl.
On July 4th, Myrta gave birth to a healthy, beautiful baby girl, Lucy. Almost overnight, the doctor's attitude changed. Suddenly he was back to being the dutiful, doting husband Myrta had always longed for. He fawned over their daughter with the seeming patience of a saint, though whether it was more likely to impress the in-laws than to satisfy any paternal need is certainly to be questioned. Myrta didn't care. She never needed to know. All that mattered was that she finally had a loving family of her own, even if it was 30 miles apart from her beloved Henry.
You are the most important thing in my life, Lucy. Each smile you give me gives me a thrill all its own. If only your father could see how special you are, Lucy, I'm sure he wouldn't leave us so alone. But for now, I guess it's just us, you and me and Granny and Grandpa. Your father has business, how busy can one man be? I suppose that I shouldn't complain. It was beautiful while it lasted. And it's not like he's gone, he just isn't here. He'll be back soon enough, don't you cry, never fear. For I know I'll be strong as long you're here with me.
For better or worse, Myrta had what she wanted. Holmes, on the other hand, was never satisfied. He never knew how to be satisfied.